Hello all, I'm Dr. Adarsh Rath, your host. Welcome to the Adarsh Rath report. First of all, thank you everyone for giving so much love. We have been getting some amazing feedback, and also we are getting this suggestion to do something on fashion. Right? So here we are. Today we will talk about fashion, not just fashion, we will talk about responsible fashion and entrepreneurship. Right? So we have a young and dynamic entrepreneur. But before I introduce him, let me set the context of what a responsible fashion is, and the as a scenario, certain facts and figures about responsible fashion and the fashion industry. So one is growing awareness. So with increasing awareness about this environmental and social issues, so the demand for responsible fashion in India is growing. That is one. Second is the economic impact. The Indian fashion industry contributes significantly to the economy, and the market size of this fashion industry is more than $100 billion. Right? Third is sustainable practices. So many Indian fashion brands are adopting sustainable practices such as using organic fibers, reducing water consumption, and implementing fair labor practices. Fourth is ethical production. There is a growing emphasis on ethical production methods, including fair wages and safe working conditions for garment workers, especially. Then this next point is craftsmanship. Indian traditional craftsmanship employs more than 35 million artisans and contributes significantly to the sustainable fashion sector. Then the next is innovation. So the Indian designers and entrepreneurs are pioneering innovative solutions like upcycling, recycling, using traditional crafts and technology that we will discuss today. Next is policy initiatives. So the Indian government has introduced policies to support sustainable fashion, such as Sustainable Fashion Charter launched by the Ministry of Textiles, and encouragingly, government has allocated approximately $200 million for the implementation of this Sustainable Fashion Charter and related initiatives. And then the last point is consumer trends. So Indian consumers spent over $80 billion in apparel and footwear industry. So Indian consumers are increasingly prioritizing this ethical and sustainable fashion choices, which is also driving the Indian brands to adapt and innovate and use reasonable fashion as their business practice. With all of these points, let me introduce you to our guest today, who's Mr. Punyasloka Panda. So he has done his studies in economics and finance from Ashoka University. He studied entrepreneurship and innovation from Flame University, and he studied international business at King's College London. So he's actively involved. He's also actively involved in work related to climate change since 2018, and he has proudly represented India in Asian Youth Summit for Sustainable Palm Oil in Bangkok in 2019. And the same year, he founded the youth consulting clubs aiming to facilitate sustainable changes in college campuses. He's been doing many activities in many colleges that we'll discuss during the interview. And this Youth for Sustainability was officially formed and launched in January 2020 with a mission to enable sustainability within businesses. Right? And there are numerous examples which we will again discuss during the interview, which I'm really proud of the activities done by the Youth for Sustainability. And he is also a core team member of Youth for Water, and he is the founder of Nude Fashion and Retail, which we will discuss more about. So welcome Punyasloka Panda. Thank you for giving your time. So before getting into your entrepreneurial journey, please tell us about what is Youth for Sustainability, who are Punyaslokas. I've heard a lot about it. So for the benefit of audience, we would like to know more.
Right. So I think there are two parts to it. Punyasloka is a project that we are doing with one of our long-term partners, Punos. So it's a concept where we are highlighting young entrepreneurs who are in the space of climate change, focusing on circular economy, climate finance, um, then waste management and cooling, renewable energies, such sectors. And we are focusing on startups especially because climate change is at such a level now that we need businesses and startups to come forward and provide solutions. It is not only a policy change that will help or not only a bottom-up approach that will change. Businesses need to come forward to mitigate climate change and help adapt to climate changes that's happening. And it is very much real now. So that's the program that we are doing, Green Hustlers, which will continue for the rest of the year also, where we will be highlighting entrepreneurs from this sector. When it comes to Youth for Sustainability, that is something, it's a not-for-profit that we started in 2020, but it functions like a business in the sense that we want to be self-sustainable in the longer run. And what we do at Youth for Sustainability is we enable any organization, whether it's a college or whether it's a business, to revamp their business strategy or revamp their operational strategy so that they comply with the Sustainable Development Goals. In our case, it is SDG 30, which is climate action. That's what we have been doing since 2020. And working for Youth for Sustainability has led us to do multiple things and has pushed me into the space of climate change really deep. I was privileged enough to, or I should say lucky enough to have attended the highest ever summit that happens for climate change, which is called Conference of Parties last year in Dubai. Yeah. So when you go there, you see that how much of youth participation and how much of a business participation is needed to bring changes. So Youth for Sustainability has been around for the last 4 years. Today we work with UNICEF, UNEP, a lot of other organizations. We have worked with RSPO, we have done something with WWF, we have done multiple projects with local and national partners. So the crux of Youth for Sustainability is that we enable the youth to be a part of the solution and not the problem. You will never see a Youth for Sustainability volunteer protesting. We don't believe in protests. That is my point of view. We believe that if more and more responsible youth start participating in the solution phase, then we can achieve our sustainable development goals by 2030. So yeah, that's a small bit about
very nice. It is actually a matter of pride. Now, before getting into your journey, you use certain words like circular economy and climate finance, COP. Could you please explain what are these for the audience?
Sure. So I'll start with a question, and that is a question for the audience also. You can put it on the comments. If you can translate sustainability to Hindi or Odia, try. Do you know what's the Odia version of sustainability? Or a Hindi version?
Sustainability. Yeah. Sustainability.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist?
So if you Google sustainability in Odia or Hindi, the term that you'll find out is Thaitto. But that is a different version of sustainability, which is like we should strive sustainability in our life, which means settle, permanency in that format. But when it comes to climate change or environment and all, sustainability does not translate directly to anything that we call sustainability today as. Meaning, there is no proper translation, and there is a reason for it. Right? This is not me quoting. This is something that one of my mentors, Sonam Wangchuk, mentioned in one of his master classes that he took in our Ashoka University. For viewers reference, Sonam Wangchuk is the real life Futsubonglu of 3 idiots. So he said it doesn't exist because by default we are sustainable. Our Indian culture, our society, for the benefit of audience, I'll give the example of pokhara that we eat in Odisha. The rice does not go wasted. If any leftover food is there in the Western countries, they throw it. In our case, we put water and make pokhara. and so there are a lot of other things. I mean, vegetable peels and everything, they go and everything. So why I explained this thing is because this is what essentially circular economy is. This has been the backbone of our economy forever. I come from a princely state called Deccan, which is very close by Bhubaneswar. And during my research and during my orientation with the royal family of Deccan, so I heard from the king. Uh, he said that Deccan had a law, environment law for the princely state, that if you are cutting down trees for making furniture or firewood, then you are only eligible to cut trees if you plant 3 trees. So that you are taking, so this the jargon that we throw today in the world of climate change, net carbon zero, carbon neutrality, these are all jargon that we have actually we are giving fancy names to practice that already exist in our own culture and in our own ecosystem. So that is circular economy, that you function in such a framework that your net carbon footprint is zero or net carbon positive, which means that you do not leave something behind which is going to spoil the future generations. So that is the crux of sustainable development. I think the other thing that you asked about is climate finance. So climate finance is a very important topic at today's time. I'm a graduate in economics and finance, and when it comes to financial principles, we call something as a time value of money, which means that 10 rupees today is not same as 10 rupees after 10 years. So building from that concept only, we have included climate into it, because climate change is so rapid that there are 3 ways we need to, for which we need funds to, either mitigate or adapt climate change, whether mitigation, adaptation, or alternatives. These are the 3 ways we have to address climate change. Mitigation is we have to stop it. Adaptation is some climate change has happened and it has already affected a certain region. So there you cannot mitigate. The damage is done. Now you have to adapt. Then there is alternative. All these three things are related to each other. I'll give you an example. Coastal region of Odisha now is prone to frequent cyclones. When I was growing up, the only cyclone that I heard of was 1999 cyclone, right? So super cyclone that happened. Now I have stopped count of the names. Nude, fighting. I mean, so many butterflies, funny. So many names have come. That is because of the climate change, rapid heat, and we are getting cyclones. We have a 450-kilometer long coastal belt, heavily dependent on fishing and on marine livelihood. Now, because of frequent cyclones, the livelihood of our fishermen is affected, right? So, somebody need to mitigate that. Somebody need to find them an alternative method of income. So, in short, climate finance is about financing initiatives that mitigate climate change or find alternatives or adaptation to climate change. That is one. Climate finance is from, if you look at it from the other side of the picture, it is also incentivizing people to make sustainable lifestyle choices. So, for example, the Odisha government has a beautiful scheme of subsidizing e-vehicles. So you get a return rebate if you buy e-vehicles, or there is a rebate in the discount in the loan that you take for e-vehicles. So then there is something green tax or carbon tax that is coming up, which means that there is an added tax that we are paying for polluting the environment, which leads to the greater concept of climate finance, which is carbon credits, which is still, I would say, a very unstructured market in our country. But basically, in and around all the financial policies that you see, the documentation that is done, you just add the climate change factor to that. So that your is climate finance. Last but not the least, COP or COP, it stands for Conference of Parties. UNFCCC is the organization, it's a UN agency which does this. So it's the biggest, I would say, for the context of US, it's the biggest Supreme Court on climate change that happens every year, so where 198 countries participate, and they have bilateral negotiation, they have group negotiation, and they negotiate with each other to come up with a solution for climate change. So, for example, this year COP targeted to prepare a document which says that all the countries agree to phase out of fossil fuels.
Okay.
Like they will stop using fossil fuels and start focusing on renewable sources of energy.
Alternative.
So yeah, alternative sources of energy. So it's a conference which of parties, basically parties meaning the nations and the civil societies, which come together to reach to a consensus that we have to take certain steps at the policy level, at the country level, at the top-down level, which will help us stop climate change and everything. Like if you see the COP28 banners everywhere, it says less than 1.5 degrees, which means that by 2030 we have to stop the temperature of the earth to increase more than 1.5. So that is basically COP, which has been happening. Last year was 28th COP conference, and this year in Azerbaijan it will happen COP 29. So,
I can now understand your interest towards climate, sustainability, environment. But how did you get into fashion industry?
so while, I'll be honest, while studying in Ashoka, in the final year, I was my director called me up for awarding me with something called as a spirit of entrepreneurship, because I used to sit at the Center for Entrepreneurship and brainstorm ideas and then find out who else is doing. So I always have this kick to do something new. So me and one of my friends, we used to sit down and we worked on close to 63, 65 ideas in a month, and some of them would be with you won't be surprised. Some of them crazy ideas that we discuss now have become the Baiju's and the Rapido of today. So we always had this potential, but then we boiled down to one factor that something that will always work is roti kapda makan, your fundamental needs. So if you make a startup which solves a problem around roti kapda makan, which is your food and clothing and housing, so it's gonna work. So always had this interest for doing
First you started
something.
with
Yeah.
kapda.
We actually started with food. During our college days, we thought we'll do something around food. I'm a failed food entrepreneur, I would say.
You don't fail, you learn. Yeah, you learn.
Of course. So that's also another angle to it. I mean, I would rather build something and lose money than pay to an MBA college to run something.
Yeah, of course.
So that's the fees for my learning. So I'm a failed food entrepreneur, and after that I focused on fashion. So Nude as a concept, we started it as a genderless fashion brand back in 2020 with due research done with one of my friends from NIFT, Bhubaneswar. So we understood that genderless fashion is not a big thing in India then, back in 2020. But we had to stop because A, it was COVID, B, bootstrapping options were very minimal. Everybody was in a chaotic situation, nobody could understand what's happening in the world. So we had to stop, and my friend had to move to a permanent job. So we revamped the idea once I joined my PG program in Flame University, where I found two of my friends, Adarsh and Rushil. So they were also, they come from a family business background. So one from Gujarat and one from Western Odisha. So I reached out to them. I said, "Are you interested?" So they said, "Yes, we want to do something on our own. Family business is there, of course, but yeah." So I pitched this idea, and I said that, but it cannot only stay limited to genderless fashion now, because
What is genderless fashion, just to clarify?
as you see, after the revoking of the law in our country, which decriminalized the LGBTQ community for and all of that, so major shift happened in every aspect. So the LGBTQIA plus community started conversations and dialogues and awareness and sensitization around all. So if you see, it started just as LGBT, then LGBTQ, then LGBTQI, then IA, then plus. So we have done our due research, and someone's biological gender and their conformation to their social gender. Like, you might be born as a boy, but how you conform yourself as in the society are two different things. So we thought that if there are so many levels, let's just remove all the levels. and make it genderless. So our whole concept behind Nude started as like, you enter to this shop and you pick what you like without seeing if it is for men or it is women. Because there also we tied up the sustainability factor, because if you will see, um, I'll throw another jargon for the viewers, I can explain it later. There's a concept called ecofeminism, which means that women fashion and women cosmetics and all of that is a huge environment polluter, whether it's menstrual products, fashion and all. So, and it is sold like that. So that's why ecofeminism calls for women to come forward and talk about their products and whatever is made for their category in an eco-friendly way. So demand for eco-friendly women products, because if you see the marketing spend or the branding spend split between men products and women products, for women products is much more. For men products it's not that much. The narrative was also very different. It is presented in a very sassy way and all. Then it is very bold and all of that. So the narrative is also very different. So we studied difference in marketing techniques, difference in branding, different levels. So we studied all of that and we reached to a conclusion that let's remove all of this. Let's do away with all these narratives and make it genderless. You moving forward, the day we have a shop, Nude shop, you enter, you want this t-shirt, you don't have to check whether it's a male or female t-shirt. You want this cap, you want this bag, and everything should be genderless. So when we say genderless, it doesn't mean
How is it different from unisex?
it's actually not that different, but it's just that we will be going across different products. And also it's the positioning of our brand. It's a positioning of our brand. When you wear it, it is almost the same thing, but it's also positioning that jeans, for example, male jeans, we have pockets. Female jeans do not have pockets. Now they have started having pockets. So why is that? That ties back to the concept that male take control of the money. They keep money. Females have to ask money in their home. So it has this brand positioning makes it different, genderless. But when we restarted in 2023, like Adarsh, me and Rushi, properly setting up a private limited, bootstrapping, money, when we started, we said we have to integrate something different. So we researched something around slow fashion. And that's where the concept of blockchain, Web3 came into picture. And we said we will build Nude as India's first digital fashion brand, integrating Web3 and blockchain, which will solve a lot of issues.
What is slow fashion?
It is against fast fashion. So in comparison to fast fashion,
You're saying the change in fashion style?
no, to some extent that, but also it's also about the brand. Like today many brands, I won't take names, they come up with 15 designs a week, 15 new drops every week, which means that you are always enticing the customer to buy the new thing, buy this. Now this is over, buy this. So what happens is that it is an exercise for you also. If you go back and see, we do this on Diwali every year. YFS does this. Hashtag past for wardrobe. So past for wardrobe, which is also, if you see it another way, it is past forward.
Achha, forward, yeah.
Okay. So why past forward? Because we ask our volunteers on Diwali to not buy something new, but go and check your wardrobe and find something that is 5 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old. And volunteers have found dresses which are piled in their wardrobe for last 10 years and they hardly have worn it once. So which means that we have to slow down, because every second 3 trucks of fashion waste goes into the ocean, into the dump-yards. We are not suffering from it. The underdeveloped countries, the global south, is suffering from it. You go to Nigeria, you will see the problem of clothing dumping there. So that is fast fashion. That very frequently new designs are dropped, and just because the company has to clear their wardrobe for new designs, they have to dump the existing. Jitna sale hua, whatever is sold, otherwise rest is dumped. So that is the fast fashion. We are, in comparison to that, we are a slow fashion brand. And while we say we are a slow fashion brand, Web3 and blockchain, we are not doing anything different when it comes to customers. Just like you enter any store, an H&M store or a Studio store, or you buy online, same with you. We are making changes in how we produce our clothes, in the process, in the supply chain, in the value chain, which makes us more efficient and which gives us slower alternative. So why this? Because ultimately sustainability means to consume as per need and not as per want. So if we have a control over customers' need and if we can do away with their wants as a responsible brand, Earth will be a better place.
Because you are thinking little different, the way you want to produce and the way you want to approach your customers. So what are the challenges you face in building this brand or being an entrepreneur or as a company, say in terms of design or in terms of process, in terms of acquiring customers or any part of value chain? What are the challenges that you feel?
A lot of challenges because the stuff that we are doing, it is similar to building internet. Like imagine the 1900 or 1980s when internet as a thing did not exist, and in 2000s internet came into picture. Now imagine your life without internet. You cannot, right? So it is as early as building an internet. We are at the very forefront of it. Like we, as in many other brands, are there, but not in India. Hardly in the like we can count in our fingers. So we are at the very forefront of it. So the uphill is really, really difficult. But 10 years down the line, not even, I would not say 20 years, 10 years down the line, because the future is coming so fast, it will become the thing. Just like internet has become a thing now. So digital fashion or Web3 fashion will be a thing in the next 10 years, where nobody can think fashion without Web3 or without blockchain, like that. Just like we cannot think our lives without internet right now. So the challenges are high. The first challenge was for me to make my co-founders understand what Web3,
what blockchain is.
What Web3 is. Because normally what happens is the moment you think of blockchain, you relate it to crypto. But crypto is just one application of blockchain. Blockchain technology has a lot of other applications. Then what is Web3? What is digital fashion? What is Meta? What is AI? What are we going to do? So it took a long time, but I was really happy because they are very patient. They have the interest to do something new, have the courage. That's important to be able to take the risk to do it, because they have to understand that for the next 5 years, not only today. We are so after we relaunched, we launched in October. Yeah, I give them examples of like BlackRock. So BlackRock is the highest asset management company in the world, with asset management in the figure of $7 trillion. They manage assets of that world. So they have a blockchain part to it and they have a crypto part to it. So I said, see, this is something, if BlackRock is experimenting in fintech, we are just why not in fashion? So I try to explain what's gonna happen, how it's gonna change the supply chain. So I start my example by telling them that fashion business is a very negative capital business, in the sense that you have to invest and burn a lot before you start making profits, making money. You have to create an inventory, whether it is a warehouse, physical inventory, shop, or anywhere. It's the physical products that people buy, whether they buy from shop or they buy online. The inventory has to be there. You have to hire designers, you have to iterate a lot of times. So this all processes actually add up to the process of creating waste. That imagine how many designs you have to make before you think that okay, this design will work in the market. And when new designs are coming and the production team is giving you new designs, if the existing stock is not sold out, it's a warehouse problem. And you can only have a limited warehouse. You cannot have unlimited space. So either you have to clear it by selling it off at a very cheap price, or you have to dump it. And data suggests only 10 to 12% of it gets recycled. Majority of it gets dumped. So,
Sad.
which is a very sad thing. We might talk about thrifting, we might talk about upcycling, but that's a very minimal percentage of it. So, which means that the value chain needs a change. So, we explain them that through technology like use of AI, augmented reality, blockchain, we will, we will make it an asset-light model, which means that we will not hire designers on board. We will have a community of designers. That's Web3. So before the design gets produced or manufactured into a real world t-shirt, we will have a mechanism where the community takes a vote through a process where they hold the designs, which is through NFTs. NFT stands for non-fungible tokens. So we create NFTs of their designs, and the start building a community where you can hold that NFT. If you like that t-shirt design, even before it is launched, you are holding it. So what happens then is that everyone feels an ownership of the brand. It is not managed by only us as co-founders, but it's a community management. It's a decentralized management that is happening. So once we figure out that okay, certain designs are held by maximum people, then we know that okay, out of this 10 NFTs, let's make designs real world t-shirts of these 2 NFTs. So then what happens is that we are playing on the prediction of the market. That yes, these 2 NFTs will, when converted into real world t-shirts, like printed on real world, will sell more. So we are controlling the supply chain to a higher predictability. Earlier, traditional fashion, you print all the 10 designs, 100 t-shirts of each, place it in your stores, e-commerce platform, see which is getting sold and which is not getting sold. Here we are targeting. We know that
You are understanding the demand
exactly.
before
So
you are
yes, not only that, in this case, the potential buyer has a skin in the game. The designer is competitive. So for designers also, like if you see other brands, they have designers on their payroll. Whether their design gets sold or not, whether their designs get confirmed or not, they get a fixed salary. But here they are getting paid for every t-shirt sold.
Yeah, it is a win-win situation for everyone.
It's a win for everyone, so they have an upside that yes, why only certain fixed salary per month where I can earn much more.
In fact,
And the right to design also is with the designer because it's their NFT. So it's a
so
sharing.
the ownership also lies with
The ownership is among 3 people. You as a brand, the designer, also the potential customer. Everyone has a skin in the game. So we are disrupting the value chain. It's not a linear value chain, it's a network.
This is amazing actually. What I like the most is the way you have connected technology, sustainability, designer, consumer. You are connecting all the dots.
Everything is transparent also on the
transparent,
system.
yeah.
You know the t-shirt which you are wearing, the polo shirt. You don't know who designed it. You might want to give credit, but in our system it's transparent. You know who's the designer, where the fabric is sourced from, how much of actual cotton is it, and how much of real metal, who's the manufacturer. Everything is transparent. So that is like ethical sourcing, ethical value chain, which also is a part of sustainable development goals.
Now, when you talk about these designs, is there a separate course? Because majority of our audience is youth, so they might want to know how to design such t-shirts or how to make such design. Do they need certain expertise or just creative thinking or just being innovative is enough?
I'm not a professional designer, but working with so many designers, what I've understood is that currently we are into street fashion, which is mostly the future, and our target segment is entirely youth because that is the maximum population.
What is street fashion?
Street fashion basically is a kind of fashion which comes from street artists, and when you say street artists, those are natural artists, so this concept came to my mind, the street fashion, when I was studying in London, because I think it's one of the favorite places to visit for me because it celebrates art in all formats. You will see people with bands performing in a underground metro subway. You will see people performing violins on the roadside. You will see people making beautiful graffitis on the wall. You will see rap battles happening. You will see underground dance battles happening, and there is an appreciation for art in all format, right? So that is street fashion. Pure appreciation of art in its as raw format as you can. So once you modulate it, once you formalize it, then the other versions come. You know, it's just like our indigenous tribal music. We take inspiration and make songs to this date. Same with street fashion. So it comes from street lifestyle, street art, and everything. So our target is that, because as we see the trend, I am a big fan of data points. I'm a tech fanatic. So we study a lot of data points. So data suggests that the future is street fashion, and you will see a rise of streetwear brands coming up in India. A lot of them. Urban Monkey, rip-off, jaywalking. Jaywalking makes a lot of other stuff also, but a lot of streetwear fashion brands are coming because the youth is loving it. The youth, the future of this, the future youth, the upcoming youth generation, they want everything raw, because we are completing a circle. We started raw, we started becoming a professional person,
Artificial.
artificial and everything, and now we are going back to our roots. Everything will return to agriculture, everything will return to raw art, and all that format. So we are in that line of work. So that is how we envision Nude stylists. So to answer your question, not really. I mean, street fashion is very abstract. You can make a concept of anything and everything. So if it makes sense for your target customer, if you can justify your design, then you are good enough. It is just like music. You have a different taste for music. I have a different taste for music. So if your music justifies you, you listen to those kind of music. Same with design.
Now, how do you think customer can play a role, not just for your company, but for the responsible sector as a whole? How can they contribute in increasing the demand for responsible fashion or sustainable fashion that we call, or products related to this sector?
First thing, buy from Nude. Because we filter all the unsustainable practices. That's your first tip. Second, I think is we have to, because I am also a consumer for products, right? I might have figured out what to wear because I have my own brand, but still I have to figure out what to eat, what to wear, and everything. So what to wear to live and all of that. So I think we have to be responsible from the point that we know what we are consuming, because simple example, we buy stuff to eat, packaged products, hardly anyone sees what's written. Correct. It just, the ad says that no added sugar, and then if you go to the ingredients and you see, there's a lot of false facts that brand try to sell. Right. So from consumers' point of view, I think we have to first understand what we are consuming, whether it's food, clothing, what we are buying. Second, we need to ask questions that do we really need it or do we want it. So that's also something that we try to do at Nude. We try to do a lot of events. We have been doing a lot of events where we ask people to come up with their own clothes, and we do workshops about how you can reshape this by doing some spray paint, cutting something and all, so that old t-shirt of yours or jeans of yours, it gets a new look, right? So that's what we do to it's like tell them the value that we put as a brand, because when we start something, of course revenue, money making, all of that becomes a byproduct. So the first vision is to deliver value and sell our value. If we can sell our value, then selling our product is easy, because that's there. So we try to do those workshops with a lot of youth, where we say that whatever you are buying, you might, and we openly say it, you might not buy from us, that's okay. You might think that this is beyond your price range. It can happen very easily. You may think that, okay, this is not the design I can carry with me, that's okay. But whatever brand you want to wear, do some more research on that brand. Do some more deep dive into what they're doing and how much of truth they're speaking, because a lot of brands these days claim to use recycled cotton, but is it really true? So we have a term in what we call as greenwashing, which is like they're brainwashing in a way that they're green.
You do something, show something.
So something else. So that's called greenwashing in the space of climate change. So is it greenwashing or is it real? And that goes for Nude also. Do some deep dive research on Nude, whether what they claim they're doing it or not. Ask us questions. So I think
That is brave of you of saying this.
yeah, of course, because the other thing that I do on the back end is I'm a strategic campaigner to a lot of clients. I help build campaigns, which also includes campaigns where we ask consumers to do a lot of things. So ask your brand that how transparent they are and what they claim is actually true or not. So that is something that they are.
Now coming back to the rawness, how do you think this cultural and regional factors influence the adoption of sustainable practices, or what do you think companies like yours are doing to stay culturally or regionally relevant?
I'll give you an example of Odisha. So we have a line which we will launch for Rath Yatra. So we have blended Jagannath into streetwear fashion.
Superb.
So we have blended Jagannath into this thing, and we were thinking how to market it. It's still under process, but if you see, no other god in any culture comes out to the streets to meet its devotees.
Very true.
Rath Yatra is the only festival where the Lord comes out of the temple to the streets. So why don't you flaunt your Jagannath streetwear fashion to meet your Lord? So I think that answers your question. Blending with culture is not difficult. If you have a way, you will find it. Why can only Sambalpuri be a long kurta? Why can't elements of Sambalpuri? We have actually come up with the next drop. You will see on our website. We have a mandala design on a streetwear t-shirt. On the back of it. We have
Those freelancers, designers are doing this?
Yes. So you give the freedom of creativity to designers with the sense of ownership of their design and see the wonders. You confine them to a corporate job with a fixed salary, they will do what you want.
But don't you think there will be a copyright issue? I mean, they can sell it somewhere else or to some other platform or to some other company.
NFT is a smart contract. Contract is a legal document. So it's a smart contract because that legal document is coded. It's done by the coding.
Yeah, of course, you
So,
would
yeah.
need a different episode to talk about blockchain.
Exactly, blockchain and that. So we have taken care of all of those factors.
You as an entrepreneur looking forward to raise funds to angel investors or private bodies, and I'm sure your company will grow big very soon. But what do you think is the role of government to promote sustainable fashion or especially for any sustainable industries?
I think given the current situation, every youth, this is my message to every youth, we are at the best position to take a calculated risk. I would not say gamble. I think given the changes in policies that has happened at the central level and at the state level, it is the best suitable environment and time to take risk and start something and be a job giver than an employee. What I would demand from the government is that to enable entrepreneurial education where people know how to take a risk. Because for me, I was privileged enough to get that education that a lot of times we confuse risk-taking behavior with gambling. And till date, I would say majority of entrepreneurs gamble without proper calculations done, without proper research, without a backup plan, without a plan B. So if at the education level, if we can bring a change where we are making more, we are teaching people or enabling
What
them to
entrepreneurship actually is. Yeah.
not only entrepreneurship, but we are enabling them to be able to take risks, or we are pushing their risk-taking behavior. That would be a great demand, because I still believe we have an education system which is made for making more IS officers. I have been a part of that. My family still thinks I do nothing because I haven't been able to be an IS officer. So I think that shift still needs to happen. We have a very good education system to produce the best of IS officers and government servants. That needs to change.
What do you think is the role of partnership, not just with the government but also with the private bodies or any kind of stakeholders related to this industry?
Well, I have a very interesting insight about it. For me, it has always been collaboration over competition, because everyone
Can you share few success stories? Because I understand you have been collaborating with many companies, academic institutes, maybe through Youth for Sustainability. But you've been doing an amazing work. So can you share a few success stories or a very inspiring stories you have?
The best example that on the top of my head, I can say about collaboration is that we collaborated with a lot of cafes to stop using single-use plastics in their cutlery, and they agreed to it. It did increase a bit of their cost, but also in return, what they are getting is a lot of youth audience coming to them. Now, youth wants to be a responsible consumer. So we collaborated with them to figure out a way where their cost might go up, but at the same time they will get more customers. So it balances out, or even makes their, I said that, simple example, I come from a marketing background, so why not market yourself as a brand which does not use single-use plastic? You will spend that amount of marketing your products and everything. Try this different way of marketing and see the difference, that you are doing something different. So that is how collaboration has helped. In our field of Nude also, if I speak, there are a lot of handloom brands existing in Odisha with whom we will be collaborating for this Rath Yatra edition of our t-shirts. Because those handloom brands, the kind of sourcing they do and the kind of designers, weavers they have, they they do not have the bandwidth, not that they cannot, they do not have the bandwidth to get into streetwear. And we as a brand cannot get into weaving. They have their strengths, they have their weakness, we have our strength and we have our weakness. Now the magic is that our weakness is their strength is our weakness. That is why we collaborate. So that's how it happens.
So end of the day, how do you think you measure your success or the impact you have created, or you think just focus on the process and result doesn't matter?
Well, there are technical measurements that you can do for your carbon footprint. There are techniques. If you follow those methods, you can know that in your lifetime how much carbon footprint you have left, whether it is positive, negative, net zero. That is done. But having said that, if I speak metaphorically, it's not even a drop in the ocean that we are doing, because and thanks to our ancestors, actually they have to be blamed for that. So much of damage has been already done that a lot of it has to be negated to achieve a better earth. Lot of scientific theories say that it is not going to be entirely the same like it was, but things I would like to see glass as half filled than half empty. So
Positive side.
yeah, so if I am part of one of those solutions which is benefiting the earth and mitigating climate change, so that would be a win for me. But alone I cannot do a lot, because it's like I have a limited lifetime. I have 24 hours a day, and I have even if no matter how less I sleep or how more hard work I do, no matter even I am 150% efficient, there is a threshold. There is a threshold. So I think more and more people have to come forward and do it, and then only something can happen.
Suppose a young entrepreneur wants to create his own company around this sustainable fashion industry. So, what would be your advice to the young entrepreneurs or the entrepreneurs in general?
My advice to anyone entering sustainable fashion industry is to understand that sustainable fashion, first of all, means buy less. So even if it is love
So, this people will be happy. Somebody saying not to buy too much.
so that's why we are making changes in the supply chain. That whatever we produce is get sold out, and we do not produce what is not going to be sold out. So because this is a problem which I have figured out that a lot of entrepreneurs entering the sustainable fashion industry think that we must just sell vegan fashion, shop local fashion, and all of that exists, but that doesn't solve the still the core problem. Even if it's a vegan fashion, people buying 10 vegan clothing per month is still unsustainable. So the first step to sustainable fashion is to enable a process where you have filtered the back end, and when people are buying from you, they are buying what is their need.
So, first thing is understanding needs versus wants.
Yes, and if the consumer do not understand it, take help of technology, take help of futuristic technology, and make it so simple that even if people don't know, just because they buy from you, they become part of that filtered process. That is what we are doing. So we are enabling sustainable fashion in such an efficient way. Excuse me. So you buy from Nude means you are filtered. So that is one. Secondly, for entrepreneurs, my take would be that if I can put it in a different way, entrepreneurship is doing all the boring stuff. Trust me. No matter how many you get called for podcasts like this and all of that, that is all the forefront of it. The real crux of understanding entrepreneurship and doing a venture, starting up something, is to understand the boring parts in the entrepreneurship and solving those bottlenecks. And solving those bottlenecks means a lot of persistency. That you have to be persistent, you have to keep doing the same thing for again and again each day for 2 and 3 years. Any brand that you have seen who has made it big, that you know is a household name, whether it is Zomato, whether it is Snitch, whether it is anything that you see you use on a daily basis, is because they have focused on the boring parts. So take out the fun out of entrepreneurship. Let the podcasters have the fun, let the customers have that fun, but you as a startup owner has to be very focused on the boring parts of the startup.
So, I'm just curious to ask why this name Nude?
I was waiting for that. I thought that would be the first question.
No, I thought you were.
Two ways to look at it. First, when we started just as a genderless brand, logo was also different. Like I said, take out all the labels. You are born nude, you die nude. So all this gender, clothing, your everything comes from it's a social construct. So that's why nude. But when we revamped and did something different, including blockchain and all of that, so I put it this way: that yes, the earth is burning. There are problems related to climate change, but ultimately you will eat food, you will wear clothing, you will live inside a house, roti kapda makan, fundamental needs. So it is very different. Just because earth is burning does not does not translate to the fact that you will be naked. You have to wear something. So you can't get naked, but get nude. So we play with the term, get nude.
Thank you, Punyasloka, for being with us, and I'm sure viewers will find this episode interesting and insightful. And I'll also request the audience, if you have any kind of question related to his area, I mean Punyasloka's area, please do send your feedback or questions in the comment section below. We will get back to you, and please give us love that you are already showing, and then we will bring more of such insightful episodes for you. So please do like, share and subscribe, and thank you everyone for watching this episode. Stay healthy, stay happy. Thank you.